Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is a scene for Shadows of Austin, a mage scene. Today we have Aries, and he was told by one Alice that we should have more conversations about with Fire Vitae about possible workings togethers with cabals, and it was more of an authoritative do this now, angry stare, and Aries sort of aggressively complying. And Alice gets what she wants. Aries just gets sad. So with that, he has booked the top floor of the Austin Observatory as a private event, and has they have it booked for the rest of the evening, and there's nice bits of food and catering waiting for them as Aries has thought ahead, and he has some special gifts for Alice that it's sort of a surprise. So when she gets here, she can be surprised, oh, see, and icy, and we can start seeing that.
I gotta go AFK for a minute, guys.
Okay.
Sounds good. All right, then Alice is going to show up.
Mhm.
She is dressed in her normal Alice in Wonderland outfit that has now taken on a much more silvery blue color
Mhm.
with the new threads. She walks in looking around, drawing some looks and stares as she goes. She is, after all, in her mind, the prettiest princess in this place right now. But takes time, looks around for the various signs, going one, two, three, finds the one that uh, her friend, her current date, Aries, has uh, rented for them. Walks in, brushes back a lock of hair from her face as she does so, due to the air making its change and blowing it around a little. Looks over, spies Aries, and then does a double check. Any mortals in the room?
Uh, the it's sort of a gourmet sort of thing where they sort of serve yourself type of deal, and they you see Aries in like conversation with them. They quickly exit, and Aries is sort of much like the picture depicts. Tie a bit of screw, sleeves rolled up, you know, and yeah, this you could sneak up on them if you wanted to. Hmm.
She doesn't, though, just speaking her mind as she approaches, not quite paying attention to him so much as taking a look around still,
Mm.
talking, seemingly a little distracted, a little over the top.
What do you mean? Quickly turning around.
Gourmet, buffet style,
Hmm.
renting an entire room.
I want my friends to feel comfortable. Understand? I allow
She
myself some liability, some fun, disposable income, and I think it's important that my friends enjoy it too.
Sure, but what about your, well, more to the point, she is just in preliminaries to determine whether or not she's going to assist us in these future investigations. I guess it's a good impression you're trying to make, but I was expecting,
More
well, I was
quiet.
more than I was expecting.
Listen, it's a thing. I've gotten a recent promotion, and I'm sort of enjoying it.
A promotion?
Of course.
with the order, or
Both, actually.
oh, so the Concilium has taken an interest in you.
Yes, which means politics, more getting pushed in arenas that the order seems fit, but, you know, it's to be expected.
If you didn't like politics, you wouldn't have gone into the Silver Ladder. Your
Politics,
exasperation.
I enjoy the dance. Who am I kidding?
Exactly. She says, uh, turning her back to him for a moment to inspect some of the food.
Ares will disappear quietly and come back with a over the top, very large, probably as tall as him, since Ares is like at a comfortable 5'11". Um, a very large stuffed bear will come out.
When he comes back in, she'll turn and look.
He's
Tilts
hiding
her.
behind the bear. He's hiding behind the bear and like talking behind the bear, like moving its arms. Like,
All right, what's this about?
what do you mean? What is this about? Bear. He takes the bear's hand and like waves it.
Okay, this is totally not like you.
First, she accused me of being other things and rude and prudish, and now I'm confused by you. Makes a big harumph with the bear.
Then I'm doing my job. But giant bear,
It's a present for you.
you've only asked me on what? 2 dates?
Am I not supposed to give you gifts yet? Are we in high school? Like,
Well, more, she says, taking the giant bear from his arms and then gently setting it next to her.
hmm. Oh, the roses are for you too, pointing back at the table.
She crosses her arms.
Don't frown so much. Like,
Well, it's more that you barely know me.
and you barely know me, apparently, judging by your shocked expression.
The Ares I know is a master of the political field,
And I still am.
more than capable of holding his own with members of his order, the Concilium,
Hmm.
cabals at large. She says,
Right.
starting to circle him.
Yep.
The Ares I know
Hmm.
has been reserved a little bit. Whoop, one moment.
Hmm.
Sorry about that.
Hmm.
The Ares I know is calculating, if a bit dark, and thinks usually 2 or 3 moves ahead.
Hmm.
You got me roses. Pretty
Hmm.
standard.
Standard.
A good a good choice of flowers because they're expensive, so most women enjoy them. You got me a giant bear.
Hmm.
Also a pretty standard romantic gift. A good offering to show one's. affection.
Mhm.
It just feels a little impulsive, not in a bad way, just in a different way from you.
Impulsiveness. I usually it wasn't a thing that I allowed other people to start again. I don't know. Figure it out.
Well, I think it has something to do with your newfound mental health.
Mental health.
Best term I have.
Why can't it be less than that? Why does it
Uh,
have to be so brooding,
she
so
smiles.
methodical?
It's just different from you, which, as I said, is not a bad thing. Just different.
Oh, thinking. I'm surprised and be delightfully surprised as he gets into her space and just kind of glares at her.
Delightfully. She takes a step back, um, more coy than anything else, hands
Mhm.
behind her back. Delightfully surprised me.
Mhm.
As you know, I'm a researcher and academic.
Yep, you are a nerd if I've ever saw one.
Well, this nerd gets out more than you to the clubs.
Clubs are still something that they bore me actually.
It's a good social environment if you're trying to understand or research other people.
It's also loud, obnoxious, and obtrusive.
The lack of personal space and the intrusiveness is what's mostly of a draw. You get to learn more about people than you would otherwise. See them in a perhaps tribalistic fashion.
No, I just don't need alcohol as a reason, or dancing, or endorphins for a very, I don't know, lackluster or an excuse to show feelings and or emotions.
The rev and the roar of the music, the endorphins, the sense of community of everyone there for the same reason to just let loose.
Hmm.
What do you have against poor endorphins?
No, I just think it's a poor excuse to do things you want to do.
And yet, society has social norms. Even our society has social norms that must be abided by.
And this seems like a great time for fire to come in.
Yeah. Aries hears the door, doesn't turn around. Hello, fire.
Hi, sorry I'm late. I had trouble getting off my shift.
Oh, help yourself.
Help myself?
Yeah.
She looks around.
Mhm.
Whoa.
There, there's champagne and like expensive food and like, yeah, dig in. Eat to your heart's content.
This, wow, thanks. She'll, get a little plate of food for herself and
Mhm.
a glass of champagne.
Aries will look at Alice and say one,
And
and
say
look
that.
at you. He'll just say one, and look at her expectingly.
She'll
What comes after one? Hard question.
two.
He kisses you on the cheek and turns around.
She's just kind of standing there, not flustered but surprised.
Mhm,
We'll walk up beside him and look at Fire Vitae.
mhm.
Welcome. I'm glad you can make it.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's the least that we can do considering we're asking you to assist us on a individual basis.
So, what were you guys looking for assistance with, if you don't mind me asking? Specifically.
Oh, I don't mind at all. Mostly more spiritual or lively investigations of finding a living being underground was more difficult, and we wouldn't have traced him if it wasn't for Zabanya's affinity with Arcus's affinity. Had we had someone who was an expert in locating life signs, such as yourself, or even skill with spiritual conundrums, it might have been a different story.
Well, I'm not particularly skilled with spiritual conundrums and compared to my skill with life, but yeah, that is a skill that I am developing.
And one that we could greatly benefit from. Not to mention, we're not always able to deploy all four of us, oh, sorry, all three of us to a location. I know Ares here has some legal work to deal with. I have my own life, and Zabanya has her work, in addition to our investigations. And as you saw when we went out to visit the dance in the woods, there are there are some things that one should not face alone.
Sometimes I have to settle conundrums for the concilium, and I have to settle disputes and make sure that everyone is rather comfortable and settled. So sometimes I really can't leave as readily as I'd like to.
I understand that.
And being that more members of the concilium have certain expectations, and I'm rather blunt when it comes to my accusations and rather to the point, you'd be a good fit. You're less intimidating than me.
I'm less intimidating than you.
Hmm.
That feels like it should be a compliment,
It is.
but I'm not quite sure how to take it.
Which
Julie,
makes his point very well.
You know what? You're right.
if I'm coming to see somebody in an official capacity, that means judgment has already been pronounced.
tends to be that way with everyone in our particular cabal.
So I know the two of you. I don't think I've met your third member.
Zabanya is calculating, and to the point, more so than either me or Alice, and kind of gets to the heart of the situation rather quickly.
It would be fair to say that Zabanya is the more logical heart of our operation, while I am the more uh, lucky, and Aries here is the more verbose, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
In
No,
Spanish, it comes with the territory. Wait,
I guess you could say that.
You want it?
I wouldn't say it necessarily comes from being Spanish, but
are you sure? Or are you just making a guess?
I'm making a guess based on our past interactions.
Did you know that there was at least four different ways to say I love you in Spanish, and they all mean completely different things?
Yes, actually, I did.
I
And then
didn't
you
know
also
that.
did you also know that Spanish is a more it's filled with more emotion than English, and there are certain words that just don't transfer over.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, logically, being that I was growing up as English as a second language, things just tend to be more expressive and quick rather than American, fast and fleeting, almost rude.
It's possible. And it's entire possible that your verbosity could just be a trait of your character, regardless of what language you're speaking.
I haven't seen. I'm unfamiliar with someone speaking Spanish that wasn't able to convey emotion. It may not be as expectant, but it always comes through. But this is more philosophical than anything. But yes, I'm just saying there's another way to look at the quandary you just presented.
I don't like to make assumptions about people based on their backgrounds. She shrugs.
I do. Because people like to lie. It's something to go off of.
One thing you'll find with our cabal is that we have a tendency to deal with deceptions that exist in the world. We each deal with it in our own way. Aries prefers to confront the deceptions head on. I prefer to merely dispel any deceptions that are present. And Zabanya prefers to understand why those deceptions are there in the first place. It's one of the reasons the three of us get along so well.
It's an interesting mix.
Well, I am a member of the Mysterium. After all, we take vows not to lie. So everything must be true that I say, especially the lies. It used to drive Aries up the wall that I was like this, but lately,
He just seems comfortable with it.
Perhaps you're starting to grow on him.
maybe.
You do, the two of you do seem like a pretty close pair of friends. Close enough you've fooled others into thinking you're more than that. At least with the way you talk to each other and interact.
Well, we've known each other for years, and I have an affinity with members of the latter. Unlike some members of the Mysterium, I can not only tolerate them, I can find something enjoyable.
What she means to say is I'm an asshole. And I relish in it.
You are a theurgist,
Comes with the territory.
but I mean, beyond business, we were hoping that you might want to share a little bit of yourself, as much as you're willing to give, of course.
You mean, what are we talking about here?
Well, we have food, an empty room, good time to get to know each other.
Oh, you want to know more about me.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess there's no time like the present.
We could also
So,
conduct this conversation in the past. Would you prefer it?
no, the present is fine.
She'll nod at that and let you proceed.
Before you begin, I have to ask because be- I believe in entrapment. Everything you say, what capacity do you want to have this? Are things supposed to be stricken from the record, or do you want me to come as a very neutral party and not hold anything you're saying in any type of capacity? I usually don't ask people this question.
I mean, I know you guys are detectives, so anything I say you could feasibly use against me some way. I
In a
don't
court of law,
particular I don't particularly have a problem with that. But um I would ask that you not use it for for outside the purposes of determining whether or not I'm a fit for this cabal, and that you not share it with anyone outside of your cabal.
You got it.
She'll look at Alice.
I can promise that it will not be used against you with the caveat that I am a censor. So it is my job to ensure that if you say something to us that proves you are a danger to the concilium,
She's going to do what she does best.
ask
That's
you
fair.
kindly to turn yourself in. And if you don't, then um, Mr. Vorpal will ask you kindly in his tone of voice.
It's not a nice
Mr.
one.
Vorpal?
It's not a nice thing.
The Vorpal blade went snicker snack.
Ah, that Vorpal.
But this isn't, we're not holding you up. Please eat food. Alice, be less scary.
Well, I had to be honest.
And I like that. I appreciate it.
So if you admit that you're a lich in disguise, then of course I'm going to have to do something about it. But if you are a lich, then that would be mean you're a very bad one because you admitted it outright, or we're about to be summarily executed and turned into some sort of soul gem. See, less scary.
Well, I'm not a lich.
+1 to Gryffindor. To
Your
shoot me now.
obsession with the sleepers movies on magic is
It's fascinating. They're so
cute.
wrong. It's fascinating. What are you talking about? It's passionate. They want so fucking badly. It's great. It's good TV.
They want they want falsehood so badly. Wouldn't it be better if we just
That's a
What?
tangent.
Show them the truth?
no, take away the lie? Not everyone's ready for the truth.
And
If you
this is
take away the lie, what do the people who aren't ready for the truth have?
They
this is
get to live in ignorance.
this is why The Matrix is such an educational movie, and every silver ladder watches it, and they all love it. But more so, back to you. Who is Fire Vita?
Right. Okay. Um Not really sure where to start.
Start with the basics.
All right.
Why are you in Austin?
Honestly, cuz I decided to travel and here's where the money ran out.
Why not somewhere else? I mean, you could have stopped anywhere. Heather?
I think she kind of got lost,
Fair enough.
lost in thought. So why are you here in Austin, Alice?
We've been over this 3, 4 times already. I grew up here.
Why did you stay if we're just gonna mince words?
Those words are important. I stayed because I was a member of the Concilium.
You could have just as easily picked up somewhere else, like New York or overseas.
That takes work. That takes extra work and would have disregarded all the effort I put into here. One of the things about the Mysterium that separates us from the rest of the orders is the degree of connectivity we have. The higher you go in the ranks, the more resources and doors are open to you, whether or not you're within your own concilium. So it's more important to stay where you are, build up your status and your positioning, than it is to go elsewhere.
Most liars would call you lazy.
They would. However, is it lazy when I build myself up to, say, the leader of the local chapter of the Mysterium, and that counts as me having similar standing in every other concilium I go to? Not less, not lessened,
Hmm.
but the exact same.
I don't know.
I I would figure that someone from the Silver Ladder could appreciate that degree of influence and political capital.
Political capital is important, but one would also question the memory still here from your life as a sleeper. I wouldn't be able to look at it the same or even objectively.
She just shakes her head at that. One of the best parts about being a member of the Mysterium is we don't lie. So I have to be able to face who I am, who I was, and what I will be. It helps when you live in the past, present, and future at the same time.
I suppose.
I mean, literally, I'm still in a few days ago, yet I'm also still here. And time, while it moves slowly, heals all wounds, or doesn't, and reverses and festers. But when you're, well, when you're a witch like me, you find that you get to control and choose which way it'll be.
I suppose.
That just seems like it complicates things.
Mm.
Not if you just let go.
Nope, not something I'm into.
In any case, Alice, you asked why I stopped here and instead of somewhere else.
Hmm.
Truthfully, I stopped a lot of places before I got to here. I've actually been making my way west from the East Coast. Northern Maine, specifically.
And
I had too many friends die on me. I needed to get some space, especially after my eyes were open to the lie and what it is.
so you do something I can greatly respect you. When dealt a strange hand, you just go all in.
I mean, I'm not one to hold back.
Best way to live. If you're not sure what to do, let fate decide.
And like I said, this is where the money ran out, so guess this is where I'm supposed to be. At least until I'm able to save up enough money to go somewhere else.
Alice will look over at Ares, and this is why she meets all the parameters I thought were necessary.
I'm still not so convinced.
Do you want to know more?
A little bit. If you're willing to talk more, that is. This isn't an interrogation.
Do you want to know more about my past? More about me?
What you're comfortable divulging.
So, I was the troubled kid in a big, wealthy family.
Troubled. Now, when you say troubled, you mean
Drugs, sex, rock and roll.
you don't have to go into more detail than that. But then, what happened next?
Um, well, I guess I should say what happened first was I got a radio, and
Hmm.
that exposed me to new music, new thoughts and points of view I never would have considered before.
Fascinating.
Definitely not the sort of stuff my parents played or approved of. And I got involved in dance at a young age, and that branched out from ballet to ballroom dancing to more free form stuff like belly dancing and flow arts. Um, Yoga, Pilates. I've done a lot of it.
You live and breathe it.
I live and breathe it now. Back then, it was something to keep me busy, something to keep me on the right path. But of course, if it was as easy as keeping me busy, I wouldn't be here.
Fair point.
I started going to raves when I was in probably junior high. And that's where I met a lot of my good friends. And we got more reckless, more stupid, and they started dying. We all thought we were being careful, that we knew what we were doing, but
Hmm. Do you feel?
sometimes Narcan doesn't even save you the first time you overdose.
Do you feel beholden?
Two,
The past.
in a weird sense, yes. My
Is that?
past is the reason I'm here now. My past is the reason why I can see beyond the lie and understand the truth about the universe.
Hmm.
I I was bad, really bad. I can't even tell you everything I took or what I was thinking taking it all. But well, it blasted open my eyes. You don't forget an experience like understanding that your heartbeat and the beat of the music and the beat of everyone else's heartbeats around you and their movements around you, that it's all part of the flow of the universe, you know?
Hmm.
That you're all really dancing to just one heartbeat.
Okay.
I guess you could say I'm constantly seeking that kind of unity.
All right.
Unity. So, like a peace of mind.
Hmm. I wouldn't call it peace of mind. I'd call it wholeness.
Well, that sounds like an opening for a deeper philosophical conversation along the vein of what we were having earlier.
Absolutely.
Look, we all know this world is fallen.
Hmm.
It's broken. It's removed from the supernal. But, well, like we were talking about, the masses and their love of movies that misunderstand what magic is.
Hmm.
There are people still there that long for more. Somewhere in our hearts, in their hearts, they know the lie is a lie. They just don't understand that it's a lie, that it's not the truth, that the supernal is real and exists. And sometimes they can create things that are beautifully supernal with the right applications.
One of the precepts of the Free Council, right?
Mm. In my own words, yes.
The reason why I push this sort of line of thinking with the precept that I think a lot of the younger ones want very much so to be independent and free to do what they want to do. And it makes our job easier, even though I don't, on a personal level, don't agree with the philosophies of the Free Council and what they stand for. I'd rather they have a home there than no home at all, being as draconic and to the point the concilium can be. That I can respect.
Better than renouncing the concilium in its entirety
Which is a death sentence.
on all of us.
From my viewpoint, the free council allows people to live the lives they want to live.
As long as you agree with the majority. You are a voting system, right?
We are a voting system, yes, but not everyone has to be a part of the majority. There is dissent, like in any democracy. When I say the free council allows people to live the lives they want to live, from my perspective, think about it this way. Nobody forced you to join your order, right?
She glances over at Ares and then looks back.
It's not about me.
My order recruits those who show promise and capability. We're not looking for individuals who can't pull their weight, as we are a meritocracy rather than a democracy.
So then, the moment someone joins, they're immediately recognized as having skills that
A deg-
benefit the order.
well, let us be clear, a degree of worthiness that elevates them above others. Some might go as far to say other orders.
But someone wouldn't be offered membership if they didn't have something to offer.
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's seen as a merciful thing.
Letting someone join who has absolutely no talent.
The what's on the right hand then? What's considering the things that can be placed upon the table?
Better that than a nameless order or a left handed. The
Because
Mysterium does have a place for individuals like that. There's everyone has who awakens has some degree of worth.
they may just need help in finding their worth. A shove in the right direction.
That's my point about enabling everyone to live the life they want to live. Not everyone awakens, and I mean no disrespect by this, but
Hmm.
some of the orders tend to look down on people who don't.
Ooh, sassy. I respect it.
My reason for joining the Free Council ultimately was I value the lives of people, awakened or not, too much to
Hmm.
really participate in that kind of society.
So you have a high value on sleeper life.
I have a high value on life in general.
So you consider yourself still human?
I would consider myself I'm not entirely human. I'm not entirely inhuman either. If I had to put it into words, I would say I'm a human that's been elevated to a higher purpose.
No.
Mildly Buddhist of you.
I find you intriguing in a good way.
Again, not sure if I should take that as the
Hmm.
compliment it's intended to be.
It's a little
Compliment.
left-handed. I mean, Aries here has a tough time, she says, smiling and pointing a finger just up in the air. Has a tough time expressing himself.
It's a work in progress.
There, she says, patting him on the shoulder.
You'll get there eventually.
It's why I handle most of the secretarial duties. Meeting and greeting people who come into our office is often, well, we don't want to traumatize the poor individuals.
You want to put your best foot forward when people come looking for help.
Exactly.
I'm more apt to just let people fumble around. It's a
What
teaching. It's very. I believe in a. The only way someone learns that the fire is hot is that you have to burn yourself. They thought I was a sociopath, so we stopped that. So
Sabanya stopped that? I was intrigued to see just how far he would go. It would have made for an excellent experiment. After all, he's from an order that believes that there's a ladder and some people just have to fall.
splat.
But do you believe in catching people when they fall?
When mother birds teach fledglings how to fly, it's a very brutal thing, but it's not necessarily evil. Take with that what you will.
You can see why having an outside consultant to work with might prove beneficial to our investigation services.
I can be
Yes,
friendly-ish.
I can see how it would indeed be beneficial to you.
Which brings us to your questions for us. How can it be beneficial to you? Anything on your mind?
Anything you want to ask us?
Well, what do you mean by consultant? I understand, I have skills that can help you with investigation, but what exactly
Well,
does that entail consulting with you?
as you know, all the precepts, gold, silver, iron, all the laws apply to cabals.
Yes.
And we're not offering you at this time, as you can guess, membership in our cabal, but we could use your services and assistance. There are things that we would be asking you to do, things like supporting us in an investigation. Maybe we're not able to, we don't have the correct expertise, and you might have the expertise we need to solve a crime, uh, gather the pictures we need. You'll find that in investigative circles, when people hire a PI, oftentimes there's some sort of romantic dispute.
I like the way she says romantic dispute. Like they're not bloody endeavors that end with people upset, angry, and maimed.
Other times, we might be requesting your assistance and hoping that you'll perfect your arts of healing, something that we could use should we, say, encounter some sort of supernatural entity that requires a great deal of effort to put down. And we might be asking for your assistance in cases that are beyond the
Excuse me.
capability of just 3 people to handle for whatever reason. Maybe we need to case a larger area. Maybe we need to access individuals' contacts or brokers outside of our realm of expertise. It would be to act as an auxiliary and assist our cabal in any operation we undertake. We would give you full disclosure and an opportunity to say no, but it would be a stronger, more lasting working relationship than, say, a passing fancy or even just a single quid pro quo.
Indeed.
Consummately, it means that you would have assistance and support of our cabal should any um, concilium legal issues arise. After all, we have a outstanding member of the Silver Ladder, and I have a great deal of pull within the Mysterium.
So, right now, I'm not in need of that much assistance.
Okay.
But if something comes up, it would be incredibly useful to have your support.
Not to mention that that support comes with other caveats and advantages. I'm sure one of the things that you've discovered is that the Concilium is somewhat tight fisted with its resources.
Yes.
If you needed access to a hollow to replenish your stores of mana, or perhaps you'll be in need of a. She pauses for a second. Um, Education in certain routes. I believe myself and Ares here, especially, are in a prime position to get you access to those resources.
Indeed.
Not to mention, given what you've shown, you enjoy the messing around or perhaps uh, dancing with various arcana. I myself am a second degree adept,
You don't say.
which means I have access to a wealth of rotes and secrets that could be useful to you.
Hmm.
Also, if Ares speaks too much of his mind and says mean and hurtful things, I can always whip him back into shape.
Meow.
Okay, that was not the reaction I was expecting, but rest assured, I can rein in his more violent impulses.
It's not violent, it's efficient. It's not
Also,
that I take any special type of joy or glee doing what I have to do, but I don't shirk away from it.
he has a love of laying down the law and dominating his opponents.
Just fun.
I see.
He's a man who likes to remain in control of the situations around himself. Uh, You'd be free to come to our office should you need a place to stay or free coffee.
Free coffee with every consultation.
More
That is a
important,
nice perk.
and more importantly, you're a member of the Free Council. You're a libertine. I'm a mystagogue, and he's an asshole.
Hooray!
So we all together have a larger understanding, as we discussed before, of what's going on in and out of the city. Finally, as a additional perk, I would be more than happy to tutor you in some of the finer points of armed combat.
That would be helpful.
That way, you're not going to be shorthanded should anything occur.
And you
I'm
don't. It doesn't seem like you needed my help with like expressing or talking. So.
no, that almost seems like something you could use my help with.
Ooh, sassy. I like it.
Calm down, she says, patting him on the stomach.
I'm calm. I just respect people that can talk back.
He respects the hell out of me every day.
I've been trying to, but you keep saying no.
Well,
I'm going to remind you, we've been on 2 dates.
I
only
know.
two? Wow.
He recently asked me out for unknown reasons. We've been colleagues for a few years now.
She got offended when I said she was pretty. I don't know what to do now.
He doesn't know what to do, so he buys me a giant bear and roses.
Maybe I wasn't being clear enough.
Well, are you going to ask me on another date?
Yes, are you coming?
It depends where
Point.
and when.
Point. I'll make time. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Try to figure out what my favorite food is, and if you pick the right restaurant, I'll let you know.
Oh boy. Challenges in the third date.
Third date, not third base.
Watch me work. Watch me nay nay.
You really think that you're going. I am not easy. You
I didn't
know
say
that.
you were eating. Whoa, that was a joke. Calm down.
But see what I have to work with?
Yes, but I think in your profession, you probably understand my worldview best. At least, outside of the other Thyrsus.
I believe that would be the case. Both of us understand that when you jump off a cliff, the best thing to do is dive.
Nah. I will say that
The
Mr.
silver
Learning.
ladder always has a ladder on hand so they never fall off cliffs. Yes, we know.
There we go. She knows my lines.
I know your cheesy lines.
Do you know all of them? No.
No, but I'm slowly learning them.
You're just getting mad, and it's hilarious.
Do I
uh,
need to call HR?
call HR. Do it. I dare you.
You know what? I think I'm looking forward to working with you.
Great. Next time we can um, do it on a yacht.
Actually, next time, if possible, I'd like to meet Zabanya.
She's kind of hard to pin down. She works hectic schedules, but I'm sure if we ask, we could get something happening.
Wait, you want to try to get Sabanya to meet with her alone?
Well, no, we would all come. I'm not like a sociopath. Like,
You can't prove that. I mean, the other day you just upped and walked out of work and had lunch with me.
you're pretty. I didn't need much of another explanation. Like,
And you're a lawyer.
here, you don't know what I actually do. Like,
I could find out.
might be harder than you think.
Oh, really?
Really.
All right. One moment, Fire VT. Really, I will not be able to guess where you work. You believe this
Yep.
right now?
Right now.
All right. I'll play that game.
Okay.
What are you betting?
Hmm. Hmm. Since you set the wager, I get to set the terms. So, if you can guess without magic what I do, fine.
Wait,
Oh,
everything
you
is
didn't.
magic.
No bullshit. You're not going to cheat. You have to guess.
Wait, that is not cheating.
It is so cheating.
How is that cheating?
That's looking at the test answers as you're taking the test. It's
And
cheating.
that's what makes field academic.
No, that's called active cheating.
See, and this is why the
Oh,
silver
oh,
ladder
oh,
is keeping us
oh,
down because
for
Mr. Cogs,
boo-hoo baby.
how dare you? The it has been proven that pancryptia
where,
is an
where,
aspect of the
where,
lie, and
where?
you're denying you are denying the very essence of what we are and the skills we have at our disposal. Those hard-won talents that we've refined.
What I'm asking for very specifically, my dear, is that you said you could guess. You flaunted it. I said okay, and
Because
then
I can legitimately guess due to the
I understand, but don't cheat. Guess.
that's that's
Actually guess.
that's not cheating. Every guess is informed by one's experiences, understandings, thoughts, and education.
Sounds like boohoo baby. Sounds like you lost the wager, so I guess that's another date.
You
Gotcha.
know
Who's your nose?
you're you're acting like
Like,
a lawyer. This is not magic isn't law. Magic is knowledge. There's
says
a
who?
difference.
Says
Use
you?
the Mysterium.
This is wrong. Like, I can say
Oh,
wrong. Wrong.
wrong.
Wrong.
Oh, the
Wrong.
Mysterium's wrong. Well, we have more
Wrong.
knowledge than you. We know more about how the how the universe works.
It sounds like you're just screaming on top of a chair saying I'm taller than you.
We're measuring our understanding here and our capability to fathom the very nature of the supernal. And you're suggesting to me that there are laws?
Laws make society function, my dear. We all know
Supernal
this.
isn't society. The supernal is pure knowledge.
That's up to the maids you ask. And you know that.
That is not a matter of perception.
It so is a matter of perception.
Oh, now you sound like a libertine. Yeah, I went there.
I mean, we do have a libertine here. I guess she's rubbing off on me. Sticks out his tongue.
Oh, you better watch that tongue. Do that one more time, and I might have your tongue.
Ooh. +1 Aries, 0 Alice. You
I'm not dignifying that.
don't have to. I won.
Does puts a hand up, palm facing him, rolls her eyes, and looks back at Fire Vitae. As you can see, despite his grotesque attempts, he is something of a useful mage to have around given his legal capabilities. Don't listen to a word though about his magic and laws and
she
stuff.
she actually hasn't seen me do anything magical yet.
Oh no, that is incorrect.
When?
I have multiple times I've seen you utilize that mage side of yours.
Only when it's like serious business, but not. I'm just talking about like the flashy stuff I can do.
Why would you want to do anything flashy?
Because it's fun. What the hell?
Why? No, you need to save and conserve the flashy stuff for special occasions when they're
Every day
absolutely
I'm
needed.
alive is a special occasion, my
Well,
dear.
we're going to be alive for hundreds of years.
I guess you cheated again?
No, I just happen to be confident in my skills and abilities, A, and B,
Hmm.
I can see the very threads of time and fate. Why is that cheating?
Because you said you would guess, understanding that you have fate and time is like an act of cheating. That's like me giving you the answers, which is why
No,
you lost.
that is an innate ability that comes from years of home practice.
So you practice.
It's the same thing as being able
Wait,
to
wait, wait,
walk.
wait, 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 wait. You practice? I thought you
Yes,
just bumbled through life.
I do bumble through life. That's practicing to bumble through life.
You don't practice to bumble, Alice. That's absurd.
No, it's a paradox.
So as matters is that I won. So
No, you lost.
no, I won. You're just mad.
You just you're just incapable of understanding why you lost. Thus,
No,
you think you won.
you're trying to out lawyer the lawyer. Not happening.
No, I'm trying to explain to you how a scholarly debate works, and you're trying to sit here and explain to me how
You've
your legal
done
courtroom works.
everything except scream at me and fling poo. You need to stop.
Oh, now you're literally going to talk about shit. Vite, can you believe this?
I just know I'm right.
You are not right.
That's so right.
No. We have a third neutral party here.
I
Fire.
don't. Why are you getting a third party end on a dispute?
Why?
Why?
Because clearly you can't be unbiased enough in this argument.
I'm so unbiased. I just called you on your shit for the first time in your life.
She rolls her eyes. We live and we do as we will.
Oh, really? Really? Hit a sore spot, did I?
They just can't understand it. Once you're able to control the whims and the direction of fate, which I believe you're trying to exceed me in,
Closer than you think.
further than you know.
We'll see.
All right.
Looking again at Fire Vitae that's obviously been caught up in a couple spat. Do you want to be involved in this discussion or no? This specific one, not what we talked about before.
I think the two of you will make an adorable couple. And that's about as involved as I'm going to get
Tactively
in
leaving
this
the
dispute.
argument alone. Very smart. Don't frown. Come on.
Who's frowning? I won.
Oh my fucking god.
Fire will sip her champagne. Like, it's obvious you two are really close and you're very compatible in some ways. I, for one, think you could make something more serious work. And if you're not inclined to and you want to keep this partnership with a few physical benefits, I don't see a problem with that either.
I believe his religion has something to say about that.
Are you making another assumption?
No, I'm making an outright statement. You still adhere, from what we were saying last time at the park, to a belief in some branch of Christianity.
I'm gonna allow you to walk into this hole. Keep talking.
What? You were talking
No, please
to,
continue.
to John Lee about it.
Continue.
So, doesn't the Christian faith have something to say about um, sex before marriage, or
Something about sex before marriage.
Mhm.
Is that your like closing argument?
I don't know. Is this a courtroom debate?
Oh, okay, now you're just being sassy. All right. So, according to most believers who believe in the resurrected Christ, we don't go back into old laws and traditions, which means that I can indeed and do indulge in sex outside of marriage.
So the Ten Commandments no longer apply.
Now, if you believe in the resurrected Christ, because of the fact he lived and died for your sins, I don't believe in going back and making sure that someone else has to repay for sins that have already been paid for.
There's also the concept of grace.
She throws up her hands at this point. And this
Oh,
is why I'm not religious.
oh, you just quoted something very wrong, and now you're upset that you've been proven wrong.
I'm upset because why?
Look,
Why what?
We know what lies beyond. There's the
Yeah.
fallen realm, there's the supernal. We've
Hmm.
seen ghosts.
Okay.
We know that there is a hell and that you can come back from it.
Okay.
I mean, every Mastigos we know, every single one of those warlocks has said so.
We also know that there are different types of hell, and just because they came back from a specific type of hell doesn't mean it is the hell with a capital H.
But the implication of there being the hell, shouldn't we have been able to discover it?
Are you saying that you weren't able to figure out that mystery?
I'm saying that there are many members of the Mysterium who have already proven that all there is a supernal, fallen, and the abyss.
What I'm saying is that because we have theists and other people that deal with spirits, that there can be more than one place considered to be supernal.
let me let me try to broaden your perspective on this a little bit, Alice.
Ooh, plus two Aries. Let's go.
So one of the facets of the lie is that there are many competing religions that say many similar things, but in different ways. It's a broad generalization, but it's one I'm going to go with.
Useful for our discussion.
Hmm. If you want to know more about that, you should look into universalism. But getting back on track.
Back on track.
This is one of those ways where this is one of those times and places and ways where I think the lie is useful.
All right.
different people have differing religious views. Even two people from the same religious order may not have the same views on such, much the same way two people from the same supernal order may not agree on everything.
Right, you are.
But understanding and knowing about these religions and studying them gives us ways to interact in the supernal, or to interact with the supernal that we may not otherwise have considered. And it also gives us a way that we can interact with people stuck within the lie to help elevate them toward a more supernal path. You're not wrong. There are many people within many sects and forms of Christianity that do believe having sex before marriage is a sin.
But assuming that all of us believe that is folly.
Assuming that's true is greater folly, and the greatest folly is assuming if that is true, that overrides grace.
Pretty arrogant.
And so you're free of any preconceived notions.
I wouldn't say I'm free of preconceived notions. I would say I'm freer than some, because I've taken time to study instead of listening to what I've been told.
Study is all well and good. It's in fact the cornerstone of the mysterium.
Mhm.
Knowledge is power, after all, and if you lack knowledge, others have power over you.
Mhm.
Studying religions has not been an area I've focused on because, personally, I've been concerned with greater knowledge, that of the supernal. I find it interesting, though, that both of you adhere to some degree to the lie, that you're willing, or at least you see a utility in it.
No, I just think that religion isn't necessarily a lie. It's something that means different things to different people.
I can see that viewpoint. I think it's a facet of the lie. But I also think it's a facet of the lie because the lie has corrupted it.
So it's something else entirely.
I think that seed of universalism that exists because before the world fell, people were aware of the supernal and the spiritual, and it was very real to them. Now, all that's left is remnants of that knowledge, that spark of the deeper, higher self that still retains a connection to that world, even when people are asleep.
Also, just because you have certain people, just to be really sci-fi about it, that believe in the Force, um, that doesn't mean that those that choose to go along in different ways should be automatically have a true thrust upon them. Getting through life is what it's sort of all about. The best way you can. Just because you know you're right doesn't necessarily mean you have to be right.
I'm sure for some of us who've had our eyes opened, clinging to that religion as we're adjusting to the fact that all we've known so far is a lie, can be comforting and even affirming in those beliefs. even if they are ultimately a part of a lie.
Just a child who believes in Christmas. Well, Santa, rather.
The Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny.
Yeah, it's technically a lie, but technically it doesn't take away from the good intentions and the good that it did, dealing with very natural parts of life.
Morals and ethics, she says. She says, letting out a soft breath. One
I
of the reasons I
believe
couldn't join the adamantine arrow, for instance.
I just believe that hmm, being open to a truth is important, but learning how to deal with that truth is also important.
Again, some of the key differences between our orders, I would believe. Though I know for a fact that Solomon isn't nearly as um, morally inclined as you are, Aries.
Morals help me to deal with the power that I have. I'd rather not just go out into the world unchecked.
Well, that's why we pick ethics to guide us. I mean, most of us adhere to the precepts, and then the rest of us happen to have our different orders codes. I can't speak for the Libertines and the Silver Ladder, but I know that Mysticogs, we, well, we have the ethics of don't lie. But moral imperatives, the only moral thing we're taught is, or that we really have to adhere to, I should say, is don't destroy knowledge under any circumstances.
Which is why we have an insurgence of left-handers.
What if we need the left-handed paths one day?
So you saying that you're incapable of dealing with the hand that you've been dealt?
Oh, I'm more than capable. She says, holding up her left hand and wiggling the fingers.
I think I understand your meaning.
If you want to talk about sociopaths.
Then we should be talking about whatever the Guardians of the Veils do.
They keep order. I don't ask questions I don't actually want answers to, Alice.
We know that they kill without remorse. They erase knowledge without remorse, which I believe is the greater of the two crimes, and hide knowledge, or rather than safeguarding it.
There's no such thing as knowing too much, Alice.
Sometimes keeping things hidden may be the best way to safeguard them.
Which means that the Mysterium should be handling that. We have the most prepared individuals for
And
dealing
which
with
is
such.
why we need the silver ladder, because we have people who believe that they're the best to handle situations.
Well, we don't deny you your ability to control the entire Concilium, the director is a rather effective leader.
He is a little barbaric, but he's effective.
And just executed a Lich Tremere on the floor of the Concilium. Or I should say, he had the Free Council councilman execute him. She's just looking over at Fire Vitae. The most powerful death mage in the city.
Well, I guess you could say that.
Well, it's nice to know where we all stand politically,
Yep.
even if Ares is wrong.
I'm always right. What are you talking about?
I don't know if I think Fire Vitae can agree with me. You've been just wrong, but we accept that and we appreciate you nonetheless.
You're just being combative and snide. Hey,
Oh, what's that? I won. Oh,
no,
thank you.
you're snide and just wrong. It's okay though. It's fine.
Well, no, see, I've already made that argument, so clearly you must be envious of how correct I am.
No, now you're just turning into a peacock before my eyes, pouting out your chest and just saying I'm right and screaming loudly. Again, but you have such pretty feathers. I enjoy them.
You know, if you keep talking like that, I might actually think you're being serious.
What? You're beautiful. I said it.
Careful.
I'm always careful.
Don't want to slip on one of those rungs.
Always land feet first.
Landing feet first from a height of terminal velocity is still
Oh
terminal.
my gosh! Why must you shit on every sweet moment?
She starts laughing.
Eh, she keeps me honest. I enjoy it.
Fire Vitae smiles.
I could always go pure Zabanya on you.
Oh,
That sounds like that would be something interesting to see.
Oh, you really should see it. Zabanya just knows exactly what buttons to press.
she does.
And unlike me, she stands deeply by her hard-won convictions.
Our fights get intense because she doesn't like being wrong.
And ever since we met, we've agreed not to bring up the destruction of knowledge with each other in each other's company because we would fight. I don't know why Ares here hasn't come to some sort of arrangement also, but I think he enjoys the fight.
I believe that if you aren't challenged, you don't grow. So if she's bringing a different perspective, I want to hear it. I don't censor her.
And the differences between a censor and she stops and looks over. What is your position within the Silver Ladder? You've been the most tight-lipped about that compared to, well, the rest of us.
Mm, It's not important.
He's a bigwig.
Anyway,
I guess. Oh, that's something I forgot to ask you when we first met. Fire is. What is your standing with the Free Council?
What do you mean?
Are you like? I mean, I don't know as much about your particular order. Are you very open? Does everyone hold the same rank?
Mm, I wouldn't say everyone holds the same rank necessarily.
But you don't organize yourself in the form of some sort of pyramid or step stool?
Not really. There's people that have status within the order, and there's people that don't.
Voters and non-voters.
You could put it that way, yeah.
She shrugs. I can't even fathom how the libertines make decisions then.
I mean, if you'd like a crash course, I can make time for that.
I'd be interested. What about you, Aries?
I like learning.
All right. Well, hmm.
Well, if you like learning so much, join the Mysterium.
let's let's see. Hmm. I'm trying to think of a good way to put this into words. Um,
While she's waiting, Alice will pick up a glass of champagne and sip on it. Need a moment to prepare your thoughts?
okay. So there's a lot of there is a lot of disorder within the Free Council, partly because of our philosophy of freedom. Uh, but um, the closest thing to a structure we have is probably broken down to the different factions within the order.
Kind of like political parties.
You could put it that way. You know, like we have a faction that believes that the act of just creating something is inherently magical and try to push uh, the sleepers into that. And then there are the historians who examine different time periods and look for the successes and failures in the past and extrapolate how to use those strategies in future situations. And then there's people that push sleepers, well, sleeper innovations to the point that there's really no difference between your cell phone and a magical device. And there's people that believe that very, very strongly in the ideals of freedom and their capitalist ideals. And there's people that believe that information is and should be freely available to all. And then there's militants that believe freedom is the most important. And
Sounds
yeah,
like a miniature version of the Pinnacle, she says, looking over at Ares.
Yeah, you can agree on that.
We can also agree that I still need a time and place.
5 o'clock. Look
Where?
nice. I'll come
Oh,
get you.
all right. I'll be waiting in front of my house. How nice should I go? Is it business casual or fine dining?
Whatever makes you comfortable. But make sure you're the best dressed one there.
oh my.
Ah, all right. I'll be waiting.
Hmm.
Uh, that said, it looks like it's time for us to part ways. Been a couple of hours. So, Fire, we'll be in touch.
Of course. And if you want to learn more about the Free Council, well, I'm here.
Hopefully, you can get me in touch with someone within the Free Council, or if you yourself can find out what we talked about.
I'm pushing in that direction.
Great. Well, I'll be needing a ride back to my place so that I can get changed. She says, looking at Ares.
Okay. Let me just get this stuff sort of taken care of, and I'll call the guy.
She walks over, picks up the bouquet of roses in one arm, and the giant bear, which is she's kind of having to shoulder at this point. I'll meet you out front.
Okay.
Do you need some help carrying that, Alice?
I would appreciate it. It's ginormous.
I'll tell you what, why don't you keep the roses and I'll carry the bear?
And thus ends our scene. Thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Have a good evening.